everyone, welcome back to Amazing Movie Reactions. I'm here after watching Hoppers. This is the latest Pixar movie. And I was thinking not too long ago that it's hard to rank the greatest looking animated films of all time because now, unless you really try, it's going to look fantastic. But then a movie like this comes along and it does something that I think is quite special. I think that the textures in this movie are absolutely amazing. The way the grass moves in the glade, the fur on the creatures and the hair, the water, it's all absolutely amazing. And I think back to sort of famously how in the first Cars movie, the waterfall scene would crash the Pixar computers, and how far we've come from that this is sort of just what we expect from a movie. Unfortunately, for me, this is about where the positives for the movie ended. They do make a joke about this, but this is basically Avatar meets Open Season. If you remember that way back with Martin Lawrence and I believe it's Ashton Kutcher, where animals have a sort of sentience and decide to get revenge on humans as they're losing their territory and their homes and that sort of thing. The main character, Mabel, is kind of cool. Like, she's likable at the beginning. Unfortunately, she's just so difficult to root for throughout the course of this movie that I found myself not necessarily wanting her to succeed, even though she's doing the right thing. She's just not super likable. There isn't a lot to necessarily relate to. She's not trying to save or change the world. She's trying to save this one spot that's important to her because of her relationship to her grandmother. And I think that the overall message of this movie, this isn't something like Wall-E where it's very obvious, but also there's some subtle references in there. This is a sledgehammer that beats you over the head, and there's not a lot of subtlety to it. I think that the jokes are few and far between. I think that the overall message gets convoluted as they're trying to throw in too many themes and too many mottos, and there are some sort of likable characters. You don't really know most of their names or care much about, whatever story they might have. The overall thing is just, it's kind of nonsense. And I guess you just need to accept that if you're going to enjoy it. And so I think, honestly, I watched this with my wife and my son, and they both really enjoyed the movie. For me, I think this is probably at best a 5, even though it does do some cool things with referencing, showing that Pixar interconnected universe. I don't think it's a winner overall. Like I said, it's probably a 5 at best for me, but people seem to be really enjoying this movie. The theater was not packed, but it's Thursday night. It's just opening. I think this movie is going to do really well. I think that kids are going to love the first half of this movie because that is where all of the heart and all the beauty is. It falls apart hard at the end. It does not stick the landing. And it gets pretty dark. It gets a little bit convoluted and twisted. It doesn't really make a whole lot of freaking sense. But I do think that this is a movie that kids are really going to get into. And by that, I would say it's probably successful for families. It's definitely not going to be in the pantheon of the best Pixar movies, but it's not going to be among the worst. I would say this is going to sit very solidly in the middle as a movie that people are going to be like, oh, hey, wait, do you remember that movie? It's fine. So for me, it's a 5, but realistically, looking at this as a family film, I think it's probably a solid 7. And that's the best that I can possibly get because I didn't enjoy this movie too much. However, people did. So I give it to them. There we are. So I'm at a final rating 7. I do appreciate you all. Please like, share, subscribe. I'll see you after the next movie.